Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. It is the Garou video, the City of the Wolves, my impressions after playing the game for 3 days. I didn't play the first beta, so this is gonna be just my impressions of the second one. There's some good things in here. The animation is pretty good, music, sound effects, all of that is fantastic. I had no crashes playing this game, which is it is fantastic considering other games just struggle doing that. And the netcode works. I don't know if it's a good netcode, but it works. I had only a few matches with a huge amount of lag. Overall, it was playable. Something that I called mid. In fact, I have a few bullet points here. Something that I called mid is the graphics. I'm not sure if this game has good graphics or okay graphics. It's something I'm still debating. But I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just mid for me. It looks. UI in general, everywhere you look at, it's goddamn awful. The start menu and the training mode are probably the two biggest offenders here, but even in the regular matches with the health, the rev gauge, there's a lot of discrepancies between how they look, especially again around the borders. They kind of have like a rough border, but only certain things have it. Main menu and the training mode options. Everything about that is just goddamn confusing. In fact, I have an entire separate point to talk about the training mode. The only thing I can say is that this training mode is functional. This is like a really lackluster one. This is like a training mode from the early 2000s. Doesn't have necessarily a lot of information. It is hard to use. At least they have the frames. That's something, but still the training mode is just bad. Now we have to go into the gameplay. And here I have a few things that I basically want to say. I think the rep lows, which is basically if you put the SPG gauge, the part of the SPG gauge, whenever you like, you have 3 spots. You have an extra move and an extra super. The move is performed by using both of your heavies. The closest thing I can say about this is that it looks like that DI is a fully armored move that is safe on block at -2. You can do it in the air and grounded. The characters in this game have different rep lows. Some are really freaking good, like Kane or Rock Howard, and others are barely functional, like Tizoc. You have to respond to the rep blow with your own rep blow to deal hard and significant damage, otherwise you have to use another move, down, rev attack, and heavy punch, which is a move that basically has mid invincibility. You have to react super fast with that move in order to really do something against revs. But making it safe, I feel doesn't work that well for this kind of game. The EX moves can be performed on block, which creates some strange situations in this game. And sure, you increases your rev gauge, and technically the game tells you to not do that, because otherwise you're gonna reach a spot that is called the overheat, where you lose your access to EX moves. But since you can do them on block, some of them can be very annoying. Rock has a slide where he can combo from. You have to block high-low. The other characters that are just basically plus. They can go into an unsafe move, then go for another one that is way too plus, like Terry. This game is trying to tell you that you have to use a lot of EX moves and you have to use the just defense mechanic. At first glance, seems like a good idea, but there's another issue with the just defense. If you get a just defense and you go for a move because you need to use a special move after the just defense, that move that you used is scaled. And not only that, it also consumes the rep gauge. I don't like that concept in this game, because at the end of the day, this becomes a way too spammy game, especially on block. The combos in this game go forever. There's a lot of corner carry, but the damage is kinda nuts. Even combos that go into 1 or 2 EX moves and then with super level 1 deal way too much damage. When you get hit in this game, you end up waiting for like 3 business days for the opponent to finish the combo, and then you can play again, and that is a 50-50. In typical SNK fashion, you can go into a 50-50 situations where you just have to guess. And you might be thinking, yeah, maybe my rev shield could work here, but the rev shield is a move that is severely lacking in this game. Basically, the concept is that you use it and you create more pushback, but it's not enough. It's not enough from deterring people to just continue the pressure. The decision they made in that game, and you don't appreciate it until you don't have it. Street Fighter 6 EX moves, OD moves, the DP ones, use meter. In City of the Wolves, that is not the case. That means that even if you have your burnout, quote unquote, the overheat, you can still use your meterless reversal. And every character with a DP has one, and it's a 5-frame one, so that basically means that being in an overheat is not that terrible. You lose access to EX moves, that means you might need to cut your combos short, but you always have a defensive move, and this is a huge issue in this game, because you never know if the person is gonna just mash between your strings, they're gonna wake up with it, and it's fully invincible. That creates some weird situations where you're never safe, and you have to guess on defense, on attack, on defense, on attack. Even though the damage of DPS is not really that significant, the pushback is. So they can basically start going for fireballs again. For this type of game, it doesn't make sense. Some Super 1s have invincibility, every single Super 2 has it, and the Rev Special also has it. This sounds like a great idea, and it is, but I'm gonna go into Tizoc in a few moments, and you'll see how bad it can be for that guy. It seems like feints and breaks are more interesting on paper than they are in a real match. You have to use your breaks and your feints in order to gain more plus frames after heavies. Basically, every time you hit a heavy on block, you want to use your feint in order to create more combos or be safer in some instances. It's basically just a mechanic you're gonna use. It's not a mechanic you're gonna use as is intended, I think. It's more about just combos. Because even if the neutral, it's pretty weird for you to try to feint something or even break something in the neutral. It doesn't happen that often. The breaks can be improved. I think the breaks need a little bit more love in this game. They're not really that interesting for any character, in my opinion. Feints are necessary in combos, and that's it. It's not like a mechanic you're gonna just really put your mind into it. You just have to do it, like, mindlessly. It's not a mechanic that is that deep, and breaks are really underwhelming. Only a few of them are actually interesting, like in the case of Tizoc, doing the EX Poseidon wave, the lariat, you can break that in order to not hit the opponent and basically move super fast and maybe get an SPD command grab, Justice Hurricane. And now we get into Tizoc super fast. At some point everyone was talking about how broken Tizoc was. But in reality, I think he's the worst character currently in the beta. At first I thought the command grab was the main issue, because his command grab has no range. But then I understood how it was supposed to be used after just defenses or after certain breaks, and you start getting the general concept, the overall view how this character needs to be played. You have to understand that throws in this game are not that strong. People can always jump, they can always push a button, so basically what you need to do is keep them guessing and force them with plus frames, and then you can go into a throw. It is true that the range is a little bit lacking, especially the light one, which I think is supposed to have way more range than the heavy one, and it's just a tiny little bit more, and it's 7 frames, so it's even slower with not significant enough of a range for you to justify a 7-framer. And the rest of the throws are extremely situational. With the exception of the EX German suplex he has, that one can be used in combos, so that's another one you might want to try. Very briefly, I think the OTG command grab, the air command grab in juggler scenarios, is gonna be either removed or nerfed, so I don't think too much of it. What is an issue is that his toolkit has a horrible synergy. He either doesn't have enough frames, enough range, some of his buttons go over people that are crouching, including his rev super. He just doesn't have the frame traps or the pressure, nor good buttons to really get some wild punishes, which is the version of this game of punish counters. That makes him a very strange character with a lot of weaknesses. Characters with DP basically destroy Tizoc, and that is like 99% of the cast right now. That makes him a very underwhelming character, but most of all, his frames are bad. Standing heavy punch is very inconsistent. Even if you charge it, it's not consistent. Standing heavy kick up close, if you feint it, it's a really good move because you're gonna be +5, and it's probably the highest he's gonna get, and it also forces standing. It's the only move I feel that forces standing, so at least you can go into crouchy light kick, standing light punch, and lariat, because otherwise that is gonna wait for almost 24/7. So he's a very strange character. He's gonna need some really significant changes. My theory is that he needs armor for some of his moves in order to at least justify how long they take to charge, or the light SPD or heavy SPD or maybe EX needs 1 hit of armor. And anti-airs are really bad. He basically has to use the move I mentioned before, Rev down heavy punch, which is the move that goes over mids. There's another version of this move that is universal, by the way, which is just Rev and heavy punch, which that one has low crush. For this character, Rev down heavy punch is the best anti-air, and even though it is cancelable on hit only, and it's also, let me tell you, minus on block, so they can punish you if you do it too close, sometimes you cannot combo. because you don't get the counter hit. A very inconsistent anti-air, and it's the best one you have. That already should tell you how bad this character can be in the long term. First of all, I think the Ronaldo DLC is a meme. I think it was a joke at some point. I really thought it. I don't think that is a good thing for this fighting game, I have to be honest. Or fighting games in general. You have to be very careful with the collabs you have with fighting games. Some of them make more sense than others. I still remember Negan in Tekken 7, which was a very strange one, but at the end of the day, it worked. Because at least you can see that character fighting. But the Ronaldo one, for me, is just one of those weird things that is basically, there's a lot of money involved, and I just don't like it. I don't like the prospect of what could that mean for the future of fighting games. So that's something I just don't like. Maybe the character is gonna be fun. I don't know. If you want a football player, maybe you can add, if you want to go crazy, you can add Roberto from rival schools, and I think that would have been better. If you can create an original character instead of bringing a real person. Ronaldo is not even voicing himself, which is a little bit funny. As far as the future of this game, the beta is not really balanced at all. They need to fix way more things that you think of for the final release of this game. There's a lot of issues with canceling on block, a lot of plus frames, the pressure is very easy to do, and if you watch any regular match, even between really good players, really good SNK players, you'll see that there's a lot of, for a lack of a better term, a lot of scrubby things happening on screen, and that just doesn't look fun. In fact, I don't think this game is fun to watch. I'm not gonna tell you to not buy this game. If you really want to play City of the Wolves, please go ahead, support any game you like. This might not be it, at least for me so far. I'm not really excited about this game. I thought it was going to be way more different than Street Fighter 6, and at the end of the day, this feels like a worse version of Street Fighter 6. That's the only way I can actually say it consistently. Again, I'll see when it releases, but for me at least, this was a very underwhelming experience, and I think Tizoc, and I'm gonna say it straight, is probably one of the worst grapplers I've played in the last few years at this point. He is really not working correctly in this game. But that's it, that's all I have for today. Thank you as always. Keep playing grapplers. If you really like this video, please subscribe, and I'm gonna be seeing you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.